I'm going to take you into an underground virtual tour because I think this is something that most people should see that haven't experienced it, and it'll give a lot of people out there that don't have an idea how the mining process works a better understanding. All right, so that guy right there, he's the powder monkey. That's right, you see the box of powder next to him? That's called stick powder. And what is he doing? That's right, he's getting ready to blow around. And so all those little holes over there that you see is the blast pattern or the drill pattern for him to load the dynamite in. Back in the day, they didn't use electric blasting caps. They had to time their shots by the different cuts of fuse that they would use to set off the blasting caps, which would set off the dynamite. What he'd do is he'd prime the first stick with a blasting cap with the fuse that he cut to a specific length. He would cram it in there, and they'd put about 5 sticks in there, and so the length of the fuse would give you the time that you need for the blast to go off in sequence, because if they all go off at once, it's not going to work. You have to do one to create the space, next blast goes off to create the space, so on and so forth. It's sequential. And those fuses used to be called rat tails back in the day. Let's keep going into the mine and explore. Before the powder monkey, they would have to drill a series of holes. Now this particular guy is using what's called a stoper, and stopers are designed to drill only up. What he's doing is he's driving what's called a raise, and a raise is used to connect one level to the next, or if they're doing exploration on ore bodies. But could you imagine running a stoper up above your head and you're working in loose rock and all that rock wants to come down? Imagine this, is after you drill your pattern, your hole pattern, you've got to load your explosives up into the ceiling, or the back as they call it. And I think that's one of the hardest jobs you could ever have, is running one of those. I'd rather run a jackleg any day. This is called a powder magazine. And of course this is where they store all the dynamite. Now you've seen these kind of boxes lots of times. You have Hercules powder, you have Giant, and you have Atlas. Those are the 3 major companies. They always have to store the dynamite far away from the work site. So somewhere around here is a place where they're storing the caps and where they cut the fuse lengths, and we're gonna find it, so come with me. See where it says cap and fuse, powder mag? So he's got all of just boxes and boxes of number 6 blasting caps in there, you see them? And his job is to cut the lengths of the fuse and then crimp those number 6s on the end of them and have them ready to fire around. So that's all he would do all day long, is cut the lengths of those fuses. Everything down in the mine runs on air. It's all pneumatic. That's the way it works. You'll see photographs from the Comstock load where they had massive compressors running the drills. Everybody calls this thing an ore car or an ore cart. This is what's called a mine car. Now the reason why it's a mine car is because it's used to shuttle not only ore but waste rock around, all the way around through these drifts to get it over to either the shaft, the incline, or to haul it out the haulage at it so it can be dumped. These are chutes. That means there's a stope above our head, big empty cavity. These are the chute gates. They usually have 2 of them in series. That way you can control the flow if you ever wanted to know why they have 2 of them. The biggest issue in mines is fires. So these guys, their job is to go down there with these apparatuses that are like scuba tanks basically. And they would go down to try to rescue miners that were down in there. They got trapped because of the fires. Because remember, they're using open flames back then. In the early days, they would use candles to illuminate anything, and after that they went to carbide, but it's still an open flame. And of course, once you have a fire, it sucks in all the oxygen, which means that's no good for you when you're down in the mine. All right, so you can see the timber dogs right here. See, there's one there, and there's one there. And they go across this intermediate shaft here, and they're spring loaded up on top. So when there's tension on it up there, which you can't see, then these will hold them open. But as soon as there's no tension, the spring releases, these come down and these lock into these guides, these wooden guides, and it stops it. So that way the miners don't fall to their death. When we were digging our shaft, I was explaining to you how these hanging bolts work so you can lock the sets together. You got wall plates and you got end plates, and you can see where they're notched here, and this is how they fit together, just like in our mine. So I wanted you to get a good idea of how all this stuff is put together. So when you come out and you need to do a right angle turn with a mine car, they have these slick plates here. See that? And that way they can come out and they can jockey this mine car around and then get onto another set of track right there. And look, somebody's got a foot over there. They can get those toes cut right off. If you remember the last video that we just put out on Delmar, we showed you classic examples of square set timbering. Square set's perfect if you've got large stopes and you got soft ground, brittle ground, and you want to support it. So they would do square sets like you see in here. And of course they invented that on the Comstock load. You can see what they're doing is they're using what's called a Burley. A Burley is a column drill, and that was the predecessor to the famous jackleg, which is what they use in the mining industry today. Those things weigh about 120 pounds, just the drill, not the column. Those things are super heavy, 2, sometimes 3-man team. The earlier ones were sluggers. They'd actually beat their way into the rock, and then later they came out with pneumatics that would spin and then water flush after that. But it was a lot easier than doing single or double jack drilling. I've got this beautiful ore chute right here, you see it? And it connects to the upper levels, and this is classic when you're in square set timbering. They would run the ore from the upper levels down these long chutes, and then they come down to these gates. And you see you've got 2 gates down there. That's very important because you need to control the flow of all that material coming out. Because if you don't, it's going to get away from you, and then of course it's just going to keep flowing out, and then you're going to have a big miss, and the super's going to come in, and you're going to get a write-up or fired. You can see where there's a mine car down there in the stagings area, and it's ready to be filled with either waste rock or ore. Perfect representation of square set timbering. And you can see the chute that's inside of there. See how it runs down from the upper levels? Because remember, they're working from the bottom up. So they're carving out this ore body right here. So as they do that, all the material falls down these chutes, and then it collects down into these bins, and then you have to have somebody down here below to get it, to run it back over here to the shaft or the haulage at it, and over here in this case it's a shaft. They have to run it over here so they can get it out of the mine. So remember, miners always work from the bottom up to get this ore out. It's so much easier to use gravity. Perfect illustration of an incline shaft. And you can see the skip is still in place. See that? That's the skip car that rides on the tracks. And you can see the signal bell up there. 2 is up, 3 is down, and 1 is stop. Every mine has its own bell signals. And that's how they would communicate from the lower levels to let the hoistman know, hey, I got some ore coming up. You can do all kinds of stuff with that signal bell. And most mines have a chart somewhere in here that will illustrate and tell you exactly what they are. But I want you to see this skip car that's in position. And I want you to see how you got double set of track here. The first track is for the first front wheels, and the second track is for the rear wheels. So as it comes up, the back wheels catch on the outer track, the front wheels go into the inner track, and it will literally dump into this chute so that it can be picked up and hauled over to the haulage shaft and then taken out. And this guy's job is extremely important. And in fact, if you were to bother him while he's working, you'd be fired on the spot. And you can see the bell chart, the signal codes in the background. Every mine was required to have them. And they're all different too, all different mines, just like ours. And over here's a dial indicator that is referred to as a depth indicator, right over there. And it tells you, it's like a storyboard. It tells you exactly where that skip car is at when it's dropped down in the shaft. That's all he's looking at. He's waiting to hear that bell, and he's looking at that dial indicator. That's it. Now the controls he's got right there, the one on the left is called a variable speed controller, and the one on the right is called a brake. So the variable speed controller basically works electric motor, which goes through a series of reduction gears to work this hoist drum. And so what he would do is he could speed it up or slow it down. And then when it gets right about where that arrow needs to be on the dial indicator, he'll slow it down, then he'll brake it. And he uses this brake, which uses this band breaker around the outer drum to actually lock that skip into place. This is the seam that they're working right here. This is the vein material. This would be considered a stope. The stope is nothing more than a cavity that's left behind after you remove an ore body. And they're following this vein up. Now remember I told you that the bottom is called the footwall and the top is called the hanging wall, and it's for obvious reasons. And this particular vein has a very low angle dip to it, which means that it's sitting at about a 30-degree. Now most of the veins, the epithermal veins here in Nevada, usually have about a 75-degree dip to them. And there's a reason behind that, and I'll tell you in another video why. And you can see these big timbers here. These are called stalls. And the stalls are designed to keep the hanging wall from falling on the miners, because there's a lot of pressure. You've got moisture and humidity. These stalls start to rot out. And when they do, guess what? Hanging wall starts to come down. Or you have tectonic movements and the plates start to shift and that creates different stresses on the rock, and the rock says, you know what, I've got an empty void, I'm going to fill it back in, and it will crush these timbers. And the way the miners would work this is they would put a platform across these stalls here. So the miner would have to come up into his working face. There would be a 2x12 going across here, an actual 2x12, not that stuff you find at Home Depot or Lowe's, a real 2x12. And he would sit up here and he would have to haul his equipment up. He would drill the holes, and then when he was done, he would leave, and then the powder monkey would come in. And that's right, they would load that face and they would blow around. So remember, drill, blast, muck, repeat. This looks like Delmar right here. The reason why it gets to be like this is because obviously you got a lot of groundwater that's seeping in, which is rotting away these timbers. And then of course the earth is trying to reclaim these empty spaces. There's a lot of pressure coming down geologically from the surface trying to squeeze back into these areas. And this is exactly what it looks like when it starts to do that. And it gets really sketchy. Now if you want to see the mine exhibit I just showed you in person, it's here in Carson City. And it's here at the Nevada State Museum. You can't miss it because they have a mock-up head frame right outside. See the shiv wheels? That's the actual US Mint right there. That's where they used to make all the coins from the silver and the gold that they pulled out of the Comstock. Isn't that great? Oh, and every Saturday, they mint coins up there. They have the original press. And they'll make coins in there for you. You got to pay for them, of course. Fantastic museum. I'm telling you, give it a shot. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you into some real hard rock mines out in Virginia City so you can see what those look like. But I'm not going to do anything until you smash that like button. Smash it hard.
In the shadowed veins of Comstock's depths, where the earth bleeds silver in the miner's hands, a weary soul cleaves to the rocky breast, chasing whispers of wealth in the treacherous lands. Daylight is a stranger here beneath the ground, and candlelight flickers on faces drawn and grim. Each strike of the pick echoes a mournful sound, a dirge for the living sung soft and dim. The dust-coated miner, his dreams all but spent, delves ever deeper, his hopes worn as his tools, in tunnels where countless before him have went, bound by desperation's unrelenting rules. Black powder blasts in the heart of the mine, stone walls shudder, then grant their grudging yield, but the prize they offer exacts a steep fine, a life spent in shadow with fate long sealed. Above, the blue skies of Nevada stretch wide, unseen by those buried in the earth's cold embrace, and though silver runs rich where these dark paths divide, it's bought with the years etched deep in each face. In the silence of labour, there's a whisper of fears, of the miner who'll sleep with no more tales to tell. A cave-in, a spark, the sum of all tears, in the depths of Virginia City's personal hell.
For most of you that have been around Virginia City, this is the Chollar mine. But what you don't know is last year they had record snowpack. This ground turned into cement and it collapsed the front of this. And the entire mine in the front 50 feet collapsed. I mean, this stuff is just seeping in. It's nothing. Look at this. This mine dump is like clay. This is what it's like to own a mine here in Virginia City. You can see where all the mud and clay have come in through the bottom here. He's got all these 4x6s put in just temporarily to keep the back from falling. And these are 8x8s and they're shattering. He's got all these other 4x6s in just to hold this stuff up. And you can see the lagging is all rotted away. Everything is dropping down. And he's trying to cool down, and I got water seeping everywhere. So yeah, he's doing his best to keep this place going. He's got his hands full. See how these timbers have just shattered right here? Look at this. That is a nasty shatter. And that's a lot of weight up on top, and he still has all this water coming down. You see, and he said up here, it gets even thicker. And yeah, you're gonna get wet. These are 12x12s, look at that. Ah, water in the eye. Old one eye. And look, it's just shattering this timber. I mean, just nothing holding it. You imagine the weight that's up above us? When all this clay, which comes from the mine dumps, which is called propylite or porphyry, it absorbs the water. It gets super heavy like concrete. And it's trying to get in here. Mother Nature's trying to reclaim it. Look at the fractures. Oh, what a mess. here, he said a lot of the lagging just gave way, and you had a lot of material just rush right in. I mean, because look at this. I can dig it with my finger. See that? That's spooky. So he's got all these 4x6s propped up. Oh, that looks bad. Look at this. Look at the back. This is what it's like to dig in the mines in Virginia City. Classic example. That lagging is 140 years old, if not older. And you can see where they've been spiling through here. See this? They pounded in these rods. This one, this one, this one, this one. This is spiling. They're trying to keep the ground from coming in because Mother Nature's like, no, I want to reclaim that. And look at this. There's barely enough room for me to squeeze in here. Oh my gosh. Oh, look at this.
Oh my God.
It's getting smaller and smaller. Oh yeah, oh, the back looks bad. Look at these timbers right here. See where they're shattered? And the water's not helping because it's rotting the wood out even faster. And you can see where he had a failure here on the ribs. It's actually coming into the drift. So he's got these in place to keep it from moving any further. This reminds me of Del Mar. And look at that. As this stuff gets wet, what does it do? That's right. It expands and it wants to come in. And it also looks like the mines out at Goldfield, the Florence mine. So see, this is all trying to squeeze in.
I can fix this.
Oh yeah,
I just have to, I kept her from crushing, okay?
Yeah.
And the idea is to keep her from moving anymore.
Bingo.
This is grease. Once this gets dried, I can go across these two and cut this out with hammers, you know?
Yeah.
But I just had to stop it. It's not been moving since last.
Yeah, you isolated the movement
I
on it.
isolated the movement is what I did.
Yeah, so
You
then
seen repairs like that.
yeah,
You
and then
gotta
all you have
stop.
to do is come back in,
Yes.
get some rough cut, replace this, put new lagging in,
Yeah. But
and you're
you gotta
good.
Stop the crushing.
Exactly.
Because, you know, people had a guy here to help me. He quit, that Bill.
Uh-huh.
He got scared. That thing went down. He says, I'm out of here. But I told him the problem is, if I don't crawl to that mine and keep it held together, it goes down. It's over with.
Yeah, it's all over.
Yeah, because this is where
Because this will fill in instantly.
instantly it will.
Yeah.
And this is where this is coming through right here. And so I put these in here one at a time as the mud was oozing out both ways, and we could hear the boulders dropping behind it, but they weren't falling into us. We put these in to stop that flow that was just oozing both ways.
Nice.
It was because this came
did good.
We did good to stop it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
It
you
get-
arrested it.
Yeah. Once you get past this, you're good. But I said next, this will be not at the end of the summer. I can take about a couple of days and cut all this shit out of here.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it looks good.
It's not going nowhere. It hadn't moved since I did it.
No, it looks good. I'm looking at how you did it. It looks good.
It stopped it.
Yeah.
And see here, I just had to stop this in here for now because I was scared that the water will hit me again, like last year.
Right.
Take this son of a gun apart, you know.
Yeah, snap that lagging and you're, oh, it's,
But
yeah.
the inside's good past you here. This is the worst.
Nice. You did good. Good job, Andre.
And I'm not a miner.
I know.
All the way down.
Yeah, you did good getting the stuff out. This is hard to muck too
You
because
can't
it's,
muck it. I had me and that young guy, and the problem is there's nobody left that will help you underground.
oh
You know,
yeah.
In your area, don't you have?
Yeah, we got retired miners and miners who want to work.
Yeah, but in this area, they're all retired. It's been too long.
Yeah, they're
see-
too old to do this
Yeah,
stuff.
once you make that bend, it's dry again.
Nice. You can see where they're spiling through this
Yeah,
stuff.
they had it held together. It was. This is a bad. This is headed toward the truck route. I found a bad area up there, and I had to move the dirt around and make a berm.
Right.
Because the water was running my way, and I stopped. That's what protected this year because I got the water rerouted along the truck route.
Nice,
You got to
smart.
get on top of the surface and work on it.
Yep, so it would continue to seep.
You got it.
Oh, you can see where they were spiling. Remember I told you about spiling? They put these caps on so you don't hit your head on it. Oh, and look at the frosty mold. Oh, isn't that tasty looking? Look at the ground. Look how soft that is back up in there. Oh, yeah. Lagging's gone. Lagging's gone. Where did it go? Where did it go? See the spiling where they had to spile through the soft ground just to keep everything up? Looks like they're using conduit pipe for spiling. Look at that. Lagging's just falling apart. Ooh. Nice. Wow, look at the caps. The caps are starting to collapse. See these caps? Remember I told you about caps? You have posts and you have caps and you have girts, and they're also referred to as collar braces. In between you got what's called a spreader, and it keeps the posts from sliding in. Here's a good example right here. Here's the spreader, cap, post. This is more modern, but look at the lagging. The lagging is just crying out because it can't support that nasty clayous material, which is referred to as propylite. Oh yeah. And you can smell the creosote oozing out of the timbers. Look at that, more spiraling. See this? Bam, 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 bam. They pound these things up into the next set just to hold things like this from hitting you in the head. You went into that mine. You went down 400 feet. Tell me, laddie, were you thinking of the girl or were you thinking of the gold?
Yeah, it's different than the last time, huh?
Holy cow. Yeah, the back is definitely trying to come down. And then he's got 4x6s just stacked side by side. Boom, 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 boom. And of course, this is all temporary. Keep that in mind. So he's going to come back once this stuff dries, if it ever does, and he'll be putting these in. Okay, you got 8x8s. This is traditional size timber here, which is what you should use. Rough cut 8x8s. The 4x6s here, this is stuff that you can get at Home Depot or Lowe's, and this is just temporary to keep the ground from sagging. Because once, like he said, once it collapses and it comes down, it's all over but the crying, because it's just going to want to keep coming down. Wow. Look at that. And what most people don't realize is this is an original haulage drift for the Chollar mine. This is all original. And that's why it's taking so much work to keep it open, because all the ground around here is super soft. And this is the only mine that I know of that was part of the original Comstock lode that's still open. And that's why I think it's important you should come out and see it, because you don't know how much longer it's going to be here. Hey, anybody want some cotton candy? Huh? Look at it. See the 4x6s bowing under the pressure? Look at that. Now you're starting to get into some hard rock. See that? Finally, we got through all that soft material, and now we get to the first stope. And you can see that this place is taking a beating too. So he had to reinforce it with steel. And of course, he's got the miner's wedges in there. And in this stope, you can see the first sign of square set timbering. This is actual square set on the Comstock lode. You know how rare this is? And look what he's had to do. Because if you notice, this one is dropping down into the ground. So everything is just kind of sitting down slowly. And everything is got clay and mud everywhere. But at least you can stand up here. And that is the original Comstock ore. Isn't that incredible? This, oh, look at that. See? All the water, look, it's coming out. The water, see that? And this is what the miners had to go through back in the 1860s and 70s. Imagine digging this stuff out, and it's just like digging clay. Look at that, or kaolinite. But this is where they were finding those rich ore bodies in. This is the actual lode right here. This is what they're removing. But this stuff is so soft. So you move a little and you got to timber the heck out of it. That's why all the Sierras are stripped of all their wood, because it wound up down here. I mean, millions and millions of board feet. If they fail, Virginia City will go underground. And this is what you see out in the mine dumps. This is what they had to dig through to get to the ore. And this is propylite. Miners would always call this porphyry, and they'd always say,
porphyry makes gold.
It's just altered andesite, so don't get caught up on all the language. This is what they were chasing right here. It's beautiful ore body. And Billy Chollar, he left this here. He went around and he dropped that winds in the floor to get up underneath this. But this is the only piece of Comstock ore that's left. Nowhere else. You'll never see it. It's gone forever. So I want you to come in here and see it. Put your hands on it. Get a feel for it. This is what the old timers went through. Now imagine back in the day, they were doing single and double jack drilling. So you get yourself a starter bit and you go to town. One twist, one twist, one twist. You twist it so A, it doesn't get stuck, and B, it makes a nice round hole for that dynamite. You get a bigger one and you do double jacking. So I'm gonna hold the drill bit and, sweetheart, you swing, okay? But don't miss, because I don't want you to break my hands, because then I won't be able to work and I'll starve to death here on the Comstock. And the Comstock, they had phones. See, he could call it for powder. Yeah, bring me in another 50 cases of powder and a 6-pack. Yeah! Get out of the mine, it's caving in! Look at this, here's another power box right here. Now usually they have this vent on, but it's not on right now, so it feels stuffy in here. Look at this. The square set's dropping slowly. I should be able to walk under this, but I can't. And this is a tugger. This is an air-powered winch. So you got a miner that would sit back here, bell would ring, this is the brake, this is the clutch. It's all air-powered, so you have an air line right here that comes in. And it would lift the skip bucket. Then he could release the clutch, engage the brake, and then lock it. You got 8x8s, 10x10s, and 12x12s in here holding this up. And look how far it's dropped. I mean, this mine will eventually be squeezed back into the earth. Can you imagine working this all day? Ding, ding, ding. Hold on, I need my 6-pack. Now the tugger is connected to a shiv wheel up there on the back, and you can see the skip bucket right here. This is the original skip bucket. Isn't that amazing? And so he's sitting back there waiting for the bells. And then that would tell him, based on this chart, 1 bell is to have a beer. 2 bells is to have 2 beers. Oh, wait a minute, I think that's wrong. So, but you can see raise, lower, hoist, all this other stuff. And every mine had it, just like I showed you in the museum. And look at the lagging. See, this is original lagging right here. Ooh, look at that monker. The lagging there, it's all busted and coming down. Oh yeah, because it's so soft. Look at that, I can dig it with my finger. And the mine keeps going and going and going that way. But you can see there's a lot of ground fall going on in there. And a lot of that lagging has seen better days. Remember in the museum, I showed you one of these column drills, or burley as they're called. See how they, oh man, look how they squished it up into that timber. Oh, look at the lagging. Remember I showed you in the museum? That's exactly what it looks like. Everything is trying to squeeze back in and come on down. And these are jack legs. This is what they use in the industry today. And then those are the rat tails. That's the fuse sticking out of the holes. So the jack legs, these are what they use today to drill the holes to load the dynamite. They're not as heavy as a burley, and you can see where you could pick up the jack leg itself. And you can see the lengths of the drill bit. See that? The neat thing about jack legs is that you didn't have to use a little tiny starter bit and then go up to a 3 or 4 footer and so on and so forth. You could start with a 6 foot or even an 8 or 9 foot. So you got 2 controls here. This is for the air, and you can hear it clicking. So you can increase or decrease the rotation of that bit. And this is for water flow right here, because it's a water flush system. And you hold on to it. So you crank that water up. So the more air pressure you get here, the more it wants to extend this one too. And these are the rat tails. This is the fuse sticking out. And look how soft this stuff is. I could dig it with my hand. See, that's all andesite. See that? So they would link all these fuses together, and they'd have a board where they could put them, and they would know which one to light first. And in the old days, they would take the carbide lamp off their hard hat and light them. But as technology increased, they use what's called a spitter. It looks like a sparkler. And light it that way. Then later, they came up with electric blasting caps. So much easier, but they had problems with electrical current strays getting into the line, prematurely detonating those caps. So today, they use what's called a non-L, non-electric cap. And it uses a little tiny shock tube. It's a plastic tube filled with PETN. And then what they do is they ignite it, and then it goes all the way down until it gets into these caps. Caps have delays on them, and then blows this. And you can see where the andesite is starting to change. See that? Starting to go into this altered zone right here. I can't even imagine what the miners had to go through back in the 1870s, 1880s, and 1890s that worked on the Comstock lode, because we're not that far underground and it's hot in here. Imagine being 3,000 feet down where the temperatures are 130 degrees and the water coming out of here is boiling. Oh man, those are horrific conditions for anybody. That's why they could only work for 10 to 15 minutes at a time. Then they had to go to an ice room where the ice blocks are, cool off for another 10 or 15 minutes, go back to work. And here's something nobody thinks about. Imagine working down here and you're sweating to death and you're you're basically in your underwear working, woo, I'm hot, and your shift is over, you go out that portal or you get in the skip cage and run up to the surface. Right now, it's like 40 degrees up there, maybe 35. You'll catch pneumonia like that. But I wanted you to see this. This is a piece of history that a lot of people don't see. And I'm gonna leave a link down below, so if you want, you can come out here and you can experience the Comstock lode for yourself. This is a stoper. This is the one I was showing you in the museum just a minute ago. But it looks like they're using this to hold the mine up, so I'm not gonna move him. I know you're saying, Jeff, what's in that raise? We wanna see what's in the raise. That's what's in the raise, nothing. See the incline? The incline is chock full. It used to go down about 100 feet. And you can see where the lagging is all splitting and the timbers are shattering. Look at that. Oh yeah. This one will put hair on your chest. And you can see they're doing everything they can to keep the back up. Look at that. And there's that shiv wheel and there's the skip bucket. And he's still sitting in his original position. And you can see the trunnion sticking out the side. So it will dump just like in our mine. If you go back here, this winds around and it goes to another shaft, and you can see where the shaft daylights in front of the Ward Schoolhouse, and it drops down another 300 feet from here. Oh, you know, I'd love to get back in there, but it looks nasty, so maybe next time.
Oh, just in case.
All right.
Come on in. Come on in.
Come on in. Yeah, everybody's in the drift going, hey, you know, I'd like to stand up.
Yeah, there you go. Now you can stand up.
Nice. Yeah, you got plenty of room.
This is what they call a stope. The best way I can describe mining terminology is to equate it with a tree. You have a tree, and the tree has a trunk. In this particular case, the tree was a main shaft, which was 1,421 feet straight down. Powered by hoist works, it was the only way you could access the mine from the surface. Now, from the tree, you have the branches. In a mine, they're called drifts. So you drifted from the main shaft into where they found a large body of ore, and that's called a stope. So you came in through a drift, now you're in your stope. Now, when they first came in here, their whole goal was to drill holes for the explosives. Back-breaking work, because it all had to be done by hand. And all they had to work with was a piece of steel called a jack. Blown on one end, pointed at the other, hold it in the ore face, and for 8 long hours a day, drill the holes for the explosives. 8-pound mallet. If one person operated the drill, it was called a single jack. If 2 people operated the drill, it was called a double jack. 2 people would trade off. But if 3 people operated the drill, it was not called a triple jack. It was most likely a government project. All they had was a candle. Now, you wouldn't think a candle would give you that much light unless you find yourself in this kind of an environment where this candle is the only thing between you and total darkness. Now, as your eyes become more accustomed to the low light, you can actually see quite well. Suppose you're working in this mine, and then all of a sudden, now you can't even see your hand in front of your face. What would cause that candle to go out on its own?
Gas.
Low oxygen.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. Sorry.
No.
All right, now this is the man who you saw earlier. He's responsible for keeping this mine open, the only mine on the Comstock lode that you could actually physically go into. And Mother Earth last year said, I'm taking it back. And he said, over my cold dead hands you will. So he did all that work in there, and he's going to do it even better once the ground dries, if it ever does.
That's right.
So if these people want to see a tour, what do?
You give me a call if you want to, 24 hours a day. My phone is always on. I'm personal. I answer the phone. I'll get you in as fast as I can. We do evening tours. If you want to do investigations with hauntings, give me a ring. But if you would, get a chance, come and see the legendary Chollar mine in Virginia City, Nevada.
And he knows all the history about this place, more than I've ever known. And he's got this beautiful gift shop in here and museum that you can take a look around. All the mining exhibits out here are fantastic. You don't see that stuff anymore. I'm gonna leave all the information so you can call him down below in the description block. Come out here and see it, because I tell you what, if Mother Nature keeps pounding him like that, this mine won't see the world for very much longer. So you know what I'm gonna say, huh? So come on, let's go! Nice and slow.
Sure.
I know. Water, snow makes everything slippery. There you go. This
you
foot?
ready? Okay.
Right there. There you go. I got a runner right here if you want to use that to brace with. And then we're in the first stope, which is only, what, 20 feet down. See the stope? And I got a claim jumper down there. Claim jumper!
My first mine.
Yep. All right, Taylor.
I'm trying down this way first.
Yep. In the past, this used to go all the way to the surface. You can see where the two notches are cut at the top for the ladder to actually be secured to. But at least I got nice manway ladder all the way down. See the shear zone you're standing on? Uh-huh. And there's the vein material they're chasing right there.
Radio check.
5x5, my brother. These are called stalls. This is what's holding up the hanging wall over my head. And then on the other side, this is called a footwall. What do you think, sweetie? You're the engineer.
Oh yeah.
And there's a platform where they were standing on. Oh yeah, they stoked the heck out of this. Look at that. Look at that. Oh yeah. And there's the ore pass down there. It's all plugged though. That's how they're getting this stuff out.
Down there?
Yeah. And you can see there's a forest of stalls in here. Notice they only removed what vein material they had to. That's why this is the hanging wall is so low over our heads. And you can see. Bingo. Well, because that's extra work and you're not getting paid for that waste rock. Radio check, radio check. I want to know what's over there. What do you think? The only thing that's got me a little concerned is that stole has fallen out. I bet you they got an ore pass over here, Spence. I bet you they got an ore pass over here. Piece of dynamite box.
No way, really?
Yeah. Oh, and it goes down to more stopes. Yeah, and this is where it daylights. Look at that. Look at that. See how they got these boards here? They act like a funnel. And they funnel it down into that chute. That chute goes down to a lower level to pull it out. So if we go down the manway, we should be able to look up that. And that's what we're gonna do. All right, see the chute gate? Here's the chute for the skip car. See how it's angled so it kicks it over to the side because of the way the skip cars are designed? This is modern. Lift up on this. It's bolted in the back there. And that way you can control the feed. Of course, in the old days, they used the dual chute gates. Now, take a look at this. You say, Jeff, that's an easy mine. Why don't you just run to the bottom? I would. But look at this. You're not going to run to the bottom of this one. Oh, no. Why? That's why. Yeah. Now, I know that ain't bad. You're saying, Jeff, stop being a baby and get down there. Well, I'm out of time. I got to go find more mines for you to explore. Danny, what are you doing up there? You're supposed to be down here.
Waiting to help you guys out of
Icon! If you guys want to book your own tours to go see the mines I just showed you,
Virginia City Off-Road Experience. We offer a 45-minute tour and a 90-minute tour. So come on out and check it out.
yeah, but what's your name?
My name's Neil Thompson.
I gotta know who his name is. You get a hold of Neil Thompson. I'm gonna leave all that information down below in the description box, okay? So if you guys wanna get a tour like I just showed you, except more in depth, because this guy knows all the good places, get a hold of him, let him know that I sent you, and he's gonna take care of you. You got any shout outs for anybody?
My wife, Lisa.
Yeah! So you know what I'm gonna say, huh? So come on! Let's go! He doesn't know.